Welcome to another edition of Dialing Up Star Trek with Dave, where we are rewriting Star Trek episodes. Real quick, this was inspired by a shout out to one of my favorite Star Trek channels to listen to, the Penske Files, with Clay and Wes and other contributors that they have on the show sometimes. It's a fun dive into Star Trek. It is insightful, it is funny, humorous, I do enjoy it, but also I do disagree with them a lot of times, and that kind of inspired me to make my own videos. I've been doing Star Trek Enterprise, and by the way, I do not like the music at the beginning of the episode. It's not Star Trek. If you're new to Star Trek and you continue to watch Star Trek series, that's not how the beginning credit music is. Usually it's just music, it's not words, it's not an actual song, Faith of the Heart. No. Do not like it. I think the better music for the series is actually the music that I believe is called the Archer theme, and it's the music that's basically at the end of every episode. That I like better. So I would change that, and I would make that just for both, put that at the beginning as well. So for part 2 of the pilot, when they come back on the ship after they have after Archer is injured, and they have that scene where they are detoxing and they're rubbing oil on each other and they're almost naked. It's a weird scene. I do like the idea of them trying to make sure that they're not bringing any bacteria or viruses onto the ship. I believe in later series they don't need that anymore because they use the transporter on a regular basis, and their transporter is the one that kind of gets rid of that stuff. But this show is not using the transporter that much, which I also like, because the transporter can be too much of an easy fix. So I like that detox area, but they don't need to be, almost naked rubbing stuff on them. They could just, be in there with some clothes on, or a little bit more clothes on, and just that room detoxing them with maybe, you can tell it's hot in there, so obviously there is some heat in there that is doing it, and I think that is maybe some rays or something, and that would be fine. I would take out having to rub each other down. I would take that off. This was a UPN show back in the day, and I think that they that's why they did it. For example, UPN became CW, and if you watch CW and you watch a lot of their DC shows like Arrow and shows like that, you can tell they're trying to cater to a teen audience, and so there's always romance and try to be a little sexy, and sometimes it's not needed. It takes away from the story. I like the idea of T'Pol taking over the ship, and him waking up and thinking that she isn't going to help him out, but she has helped him out. She has been searching, and they've found the Suliban, or been trying to find the Suliban. I like the idea of him realizing that she can be an asset, and saying listen to her, and they do the scans, and they find the Suliban ship. I like the idea of them using the grappler. I think that's cool. Again, showing the earlier technology before the tractor beam, and they get the Suliban ship. I kind of like the idea of the Suliban just ejecting himself out of the ship, so that he won't be captured. I was thinking to myself, isn't he committing suicide because he doesn't have a spacesuit on? But it's possible that with all the enhancements that they've had done to themselves, as they discover earlier in the show, that maybe like they discover, look at the eyes, his eyes can see more than your sensors can, and things like that, that maybe he can survive in space. And so I think it would have been cool to show that one of his buddies picked him up. That would have been cool. What I would change about this final episode is the ending of the episode. I do not want to use the transporter. I want to wait to use the transporter until maybe like the season finale. I want to really drag it out so that it really means something. So they're like, there's nothing we can do. We have to use the transporter. Now, technically in this episode, you could argue that they don't really have much they could do. They've left without Archer in the episode. They're being attacked. There's lots of Suliban ships. So, yeah, definitely it's kind of a last resort thing, but I would prefer... I like the spirit. The spirit is there. The spirit of the idea is there that it's the last resort, but I would like to, like, really... You have to wait for it, so you're really excited when it happens, not just the first episode. So I would not use the transporter for a while, which they don't use it after this one, and for a while they do use the shuttle pod still, but I would still drag it out a little bit more longer. And how I would fix that is, I'll explain real quick, but I want to do a retcon. I've really thought about it, and real quick, they mentioned the Temporal Cold War in the episode. No, I've finally decided for sure, no Temporal Cold War, no time travel. It is too difficult, and the problem with time travel is first of all, they don't do it well at all in the series, and then secondly, you're always going to have the problem where you're asking yourself, why don't they just time travel back and fix the problem that they're in right now? If they can time travel, like you'll see in different episodes where you're like, oh no, they can't find the guy, he got away, just go back in time. It's too confusing. It's just too much of a plot hole. A little small spoiler, in later seasons they're trying to convince a certain group of people that time travel is going on and that shenanigans are happening because other people are time traveling. Why doesn't the time travel agent that is helping the Star Trek Enterprise crew in this series just take those people back in time and show them? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You can't argue that, oh, he doesn't want to mess with the timeline. He already has throughout the entire series. So the time travel thing it's too much of a hassle, and it's too screwed up in the series that I'm completely cutting it in my rewrite. There will be no time travel. There will be no Temporal Cold War. The Suliban still will be enhanced genetically. They still will be working for that figure that we can't see. There still will be like they still will be like terrorists doing terrorist attacks for this figure in exchange for genetic enhancements. But that figure that we can't see who it is, that the Suliban leader Silic is talking to, we will later, in my retcon, in my rewrite, that figure will finally be revealed, and he is going to be a Romulan, which is a villain later on in the series. And for those who don't know Star Trek, the Romulans are an enemy of the humans throughout the Star Trek lore, but they are also enemies of the Klingons. They frequently fight the Klingons. They also mess with other races, but they frequently have a feud with the Klingons, and the Klingons really don't like the Romulans. So to me, this makes sense because, remember in this episode, the Klingon that the humans are trying to bring back to his home world, Kronos, has embedded in his arm information to try and stop what the Suliban have been trying to accomplish, which is they've been trying to set up a Klingon civil war. And so if they've been trying to do that and they have been instructed by this figure, it would make sense then that would be a Romulan who's trying to use the Suliban to mess with the Klingons, to try to get the Klingons to do a civil war. So I'm going to make him a Romulan. Spoiler alert. But again, in the just a real quick recap, in the interrogation, they're just interrogating the Klingon. He knows he's been injected with something. The truth serum doesn't make sense that he goes, oh, I don't know what she's giving me. That's so stupid. So, for the ending, this is what we're going to do. They go to get the Klingon back. Archer and Trip on the Suliban little ship. They go over there. They still get separated, but then the Klingon starts helping, which I think he does. I think Trip in the episode says thank you, but he continues to help fight and help the humans. And then, as Archer is trying to get away from Silic, now in the original episode, they have left the ship. They have left him. They're going to go back for him. The Trip and the Klingon have left. In my rewrite, they have not left yet. They have not gotten back onto the Suliban ship to fly back to Enterprise. They just get separated, and they're trying to find Archer. And when Silic is about to shoot Archer, in my rewrite, the Klingon pushes Archer out of the way, and he gets shot. And then maybe, like, Trip stuns Silic. And so now the Klingon is dying, and they get him back to the ship, Archer and Trip, and back to Enterprise, and they get the heck out of there. And he's dying, and with his last breath, he tells them that he has information in his arm to save the Klingons from going to a civil war. So he tells them that with his last breath. Because he still wants honor, and he still wants to save his people. And the one who understands the message will be Soshi, the communication officer. And it will show her skills and her abilities, which is the whole point. It makes sense. That's why they want her on the ship. It will give a little teaser, because in another episode, she's going to do the same thing, and she will understand what he's saying, and we'll also see that the communication thing still isn't completely working, and it'll take some time to get it to work. But she understands, hey, there's a message in his arm, and the Enterprise crew is able to find that message. Then they bring the Klingon back to Kronos. They bring his corpse back to Kronos with the message as well. And then there's tension there. There's tension there because spoiler alert, the Klingons in future Star Trek series are going to have a war with the humans. And in this series, there's going to be tension. There's going to be episodes where the Klingons are trying to attack the humans and things like that. And so we will be left with layers here, with tension. The Klingons, in one sense, the humans have helped and saved the Klingons from having a civil war. They have given this Klingon honor, because the Klingons believe in honor, dying with honor, and he didn't die with honor in the beginning of the episode. That's why they were going to let him die, rather than just bring him back from life support. But the humans were like, don't just take him off life support, we'll bring him back, which the Vulcans were saying, that's going to be a problem. They don't like that. They believe in honor, and he has to die with honor. So he's died with honor. They've saved them from a civil war. So in one sense, they should be thankful. So there's layers there. So the humans and the Vulcans can say, hey, back off. You should be thanking us. There's conflict there. Hey, you shouldn't be mad at us. We helped you out. We saved you from a civil war. But then there's also, it could be suspicion. there can be suspicion by the Klingons as, how come you brought our man back dead? And maybe we don't believe you, and maybe you didn't do enough to save him. And so maybe we don't like you. There could be tension there with where they don't like the humans, where they blame the humans for his death, where they're suspicious of him. So there's tension. So you don't know which way the Klingons are gonna go, because they're torn between thanking them for saving them and also being angry with them. And I like that idea of having that tension and that conflict and reasons to be thankful and reasons not to be thankful. And that's how I would end the episode. And then with Archer saying, our mission is going to continue. We're going to continue to explore. I want him to say, though, that we're going to continue to explore. This is the first time the humans are going out there to explore the galaxy. Say that. And it makes sense, because the humans and the Vulcans might actually think, yeah, the Klingons are going to be thankful. They might not know that the Klingons are suspicious and blame them. So, and what you could also do is you could have the Vulcans going, real quick, you also could have layers here with the Vulcans, because the Vulcans are saying, fine, we told you weren't ready, but if you want to go ahead and continue the mission, fine, but look what happened. You didn't do it like we told you. You went out anyway, and this guy got killed. This guy died. So you have tension now also between the humans and the Vulcans, where the Vulcans are saying, technically your mission wasn't a complete success because the Klingon died on your watch. And that is going to work as well, because throughout the whole series, you're going to have the Vulcans and the humans tension, where the Vulcans are trying to keep an eye on the humans and always trying to tell the humans you're not doing it right, and always trying to parent the humans. And so the end of this episode with him dying really helps that as well, because it makes sense that the Vulcans would say, hey, your mission wasn't a success. It wasn't a complete success like you thought. Maybe you aren't ready. And then the humans going, you know what? We're doing it anyway. And you could have T'Pol telling Archer that, you got to be careful. Your mission wasn't a complete success. And I actually think it wouldn't hurt to have a little scene like that at the end in his ready room, where Archer kind of admits, maybe there's more to this than we realized, and maybe I need your help. And maybe he says, thank you for your help. And maybe he realizes he does need her help a little bit. So that's my rewrite. Thank you for watching. Get ready to watch episode 2. And please leave your comments on what you agree or disagree and what you